I got a password now. Okay, that's dope. Okay. I actually liked it a lot.
What are you doing? Take your medicine.
What was that? Oh, you got me. You got me with the first one, man.
So Memoreum is finally upon us, and I'm sure you've all seen the reviews and heard the VR Game of the Year talk, but I'm here to say that after playing it, I don't think that in a world where Arcane Age exists and reaches just around the corner that this game is that. However, I have been hyped about the prospect of a brand new single player hit for the space. Welcome to the simulation inside the simulation. I am Too Damn Golden, your VR Voyager, and today we're going to be taking a comprehensive look at Patient 8's debut title, and we're going to decide if this is something you should play, buy today, or stay away from altogether. Memoreum sees you assuming the role of Dr. Otto Watson, who finds himself ripped from his stasis pod aboard humanity's last chance of survival, a singular spacecraft known as the UCT Century Dawn, which has dramatically changed in nature since your pre-stasis days, as a disease known as the Ichor infection has decimated the ship's inhabitants, turning them into monstrosities that are both highly aggressive and highly disturbing in nature. Now, this one is a single-player narrative-driven sci-fi horror experience, which sees you navigating throughout the shadows and battling mutants in an effort to save not just your own life, but the fate of mankind as a whole, as your aim is to discover the origins of the mysterious outbreak itself. And the thing that immediately struck me was the Dead Space meets Doom 3 vibes that this one seemed to be going for as I explored through this forsaken vessel. And that's definitely not to say that this is a negative thing at all, as the boys over at Patient 8 were clearly inspired by these franchises, but strive to carve out their own unique spins on them, and in that regard, I believe that they absolutely delivered. As this is a survival horror type of game, there is plenty of terrifying creatures to battle, and gamers do have a nice solid selection of weapons to dispatch foes with, whether it's your base Chimera gun starting off as functionally just a shotgun but soon being able to be swapped out for varying options of guns from snipers to SMGs, assault rifles, and more, that'll definitely leave you folks to discover, as I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, but there definitely is a nice variety of weapons to be had in this one. However, here is the point that I do have to be a bit of a sourpuss, as I personally found the combat to be a bit dull and easy for the most part, with the vast majority of the enemies not really posing any kind of threat at all, sans the boss fights, which are a mixed bag of both difficulty and AI capabilities, as the enemy AI in this one isn't really the sharpest, but again, it's not really a game breaker, as when it does work, it works exceptionally well. And while this is something that I'm sure will be touched upon and improved in future patches, it is a bit disappointing to see that the combat in this one just didn't have that extra oomph to make it both more punchy and more fun in general. In addition to the arsenal at your disposal, you have a backpack chock full of useful sci-fi tools such as a scanner, datapad, and wire detector, as well as the always handy screwdriver and blowtorch that will aid in your progression throughout the ship, as you will be tasked with locating keycards, solving a few puzzles here and there, locating passcodes for secret caches, and pouring through databanks to uncover the dark secrets behind this mysterious infection. But switching things over to more of the narrative side of things, this is a masterfully written and directed production that punches way above its weight class here, as Patient 8 has produced one of VR's most compelling narrative explorations that tells a story of disaster, mental health struggles, and fear in a very nuanced and believable fashion, so shout out to the guys for that, with the stakes in Memoreum always feeling like they matter, with you, Otto, thrust right in the center of it all in a way that generates a feeling of constant uneasiness and dread, further building upon an atmosphere of true fear and horror, which is great for immersion purposes and for making things feel real in a world that is just chopped full of atmosphere, which to me is the single most important aspect of a good survival horror game. So if you've been watching most of the other reviews surrounding Memoreum, then you have undoubtedly heard several people applaud the visuals as a whole in this one, and that's where I have to step in and be the objective voice in the room for just a moment. As review key aside, I do have to be honest with you guys, this looks and feels like a title at times that was clearly developed with the Quest 2 in mind, and it most certainly shows. With jagged edges, muddy textures, and just downright poor visuals abound in certain areas of the game, which is an interesting juxtaposition to the visuals that do stand out, because when the visuals hit, they do look pretty solid, especially your weapons and some of the atmospheric matter that has engulfed the ship itself. But personally, I think that those who are saying that the graphics in this one are good across the board are being disingenuous at best and outright lying to you guys at worst. If this is a title that definitely needs a Quest 3 enhancement ASAP, and I'm not even a graphics whore, that's not even my biggest thing with the game. This is just my unfiltered, objective opinion. However, I am happy to report that it's not all doom and gloom on the visual design front, as the lighting in Memoreum is some of the best that I have seen in the standalone space to date, with Patient 8 foregoing the player's ability to use their flashlight at will in lieu of automatically activating it at certain junctures, and I have to say that this definitely led to a couple of jump scares and a host of tense moments, only further adding to one of the best horror atmospheres in all of VR. Especially when you get to certain in-game instances where the lighting shifts to an ominous red hue and completely alters the state of the ship itself. Not to mention that the actual enemy models themselves are nicely done, and while a bit janky at times and rough around the edges, the actual environments of the ship are beautifully designed for the most part, and you can definitely tell that this was truly a passion project for the Patient 8 team, and that passion cannot be taken for granted, as it is these small dedicated teams of developers that truly are the lifeblood of VR gaming. And while a lot of the textures certainly could use a fresh coat of paint, I didn't find this to be anything particularly game breaking, and I just really wanted to put that information out there for those of you who may be interested in picking this one up. So Memoreum is an absolute masterclass on sound design, with the sound effects of nearby enemies scurrying about, ambient ship noises in the distance, and the musical score sounding and blending perfectly to generate tons of mood and atmospheric energy every step of this adventure. And although I felt that the combat was one of the weaker elements in this experience in my opinion, the sound effects of each weapon are amazing and very well polished, with the punchiness of them being a legitimate audio treat. And combine this with some surprisingly well-polished voice acting, and what Patient 8 has done is generate a believable and immersive VR experience, albeit one with just a few sticking points to me, with my biggest one being the inconsistency of the grab points, not only while trying to pick up items, but whilst attempting to reload and or arm your weapons, as this certainly was problematic in a few of the more chaotic moments of the game, as trying to two-hand grip your pistol at times does not work, and instead it leads to the pistol switching hands to your offhand, or with the SMG specifically, cocking the weapon is very inconsistent, leading to a lot of scrambling as an ichor infected monster comes barreling your way, and some quite frankly unnecessary deaths along the way. And to me, while the overall immersion of this one is centered around the gory charm of the atmosphere and the accompanying environments, which, don't make any mistake of it, works very, very well, I do feel that with a few tweaks that the immersion level in this sci-fi horror experience can climb to even greater heights. Now, if you fancy yourself as a completionist or somebody who really likes to get the full experience and collect everything that a game has to offer, then Memoreum does have some aspects that you may like in that regard, with various email, data logs, and special mystery bottles to be tracked and located by the player. And as I'm currently on my second playthrough, I have to say that I am probably enjoying this more the second time around, as Memoreum is one of those games that really does hook you in with its fantastic environment. And I know I've mentioned this a couple of times already in this video, but the atmosphere in this one is among the best that the VR space currently has to offer. It is truly a believable world, and it ropes you in almost completely. And even for someone like myself who does not call themselves a completionist by any means, I feel that this one does have a ton of replay value, if for nothing else, perhaps playing on a higher difficulty level or picking up on some of those lore tidbits that you may have missed on your first playthrough. And this is certainly something that I think most people will at minimum want to play through one extra time after beating it. And for a single player narrative driven experience, this one does have a unique amount of replay value, and I feel that speaks volumes to the story and narrative that Patient 8 was able to cook up for this one. But now, as always folks, the most important question when we talk about any game on this channel: how fun is this game? And Memoreum is an absolute blast of a time when it does what it's supposed to do, and if you can bypass the at times underwhelming combat and AI, and if you're like myself, somebody who really does prioritize solid gameplay and an excellent narrative, then this may be the one for you. And putting a score to this one, I give it a very strong 8.2, being carried by its aforementioned narrative, the fantastic atmosphere it built, top-notch lighting, and of course the best aspect of this game in my opinion, the incredible sound design put together by the team. And to me, this is a game that is teetering very close to buy today status. However, I do feel that the VR jank present in combination with the disappointing visuals have it knocked down just a peg slightly, but this is something you should definitely play at some point in time, as Memoreum is an absolutely tremendous experience as a whole, and hopefully some of the rough edges will be cleaned up soon so that more people can truly enjoy this horror thriller. Alright folks, so that just about wraps up today's video. You know what to do: like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good jazz. For everybody who's played this game already, tell me what you think down below in the comments. And if you haven't played it already, tell me what you think about your chances of grabbing this one after watching today's video. And if you're looking for more great content to watch right now, check these videos out here and here. Yep, right there on screen now.